In the heart of ancient Egypt, a desperate mother placed her infant son in a basket, entrusting him to the gentle currents of the Nile River. This child, a Hebrew in a land where his people were enslaved, was found by none other than Pharaoh's own daughter. Drawn by his cries, the princess felt compassion and took him in, raising him as her own. She named him Moses, and he grew up in the splendor of the royal court, unaware of the monumental destiny that awaited him. This act of mercy set in motion a chain of events that would change the course of history for an entire nation. Years later, having fled Egypt after defending one of his kinsmen, Moses lived a quiet life as a shepherd in the land of Midian. It was in the solitude of the desert, near the foot of Mount Horeb, that his ordinary life was interrupted by an extraordinary sight. He saw a bush ablaze with fire, yet its leaves and branches were not consumed by the flames. As he drew closer to investigate this marvel, a powerful voice called out to him from within the fire, identifying itself as the God of his ancestors.
A brilliant, divine light emanated from the bush, so intense that Moses had to shield his eyes, humbled and awestruck in the presence of the divine.
This divine encounter commissioned Moses with a daunting task: to return to Egypt and demand that the mighty Pharaoh release the Hebrew people from bondage. When Pharaoh's heart was hardened and he refused, a series of 10 devastating plagues were unleashed upon the land. The Nile, the lifeblood of Egypt, turned to a horrifying crimson, its waters becoming like blood. A suffocating darkness later blanketed the entire kingdom, a terrifying gloom that could be physically felt. Through each catastrophe, Pharaoh's defiance only grew, his anger and pride blinding him to the power he was challenging. Following the final, most heart-wrenching plague, Pharaoh at last permitted the Hebrews to leave. But his change of heart was fleeting, and he soon sent his army in pursuit. Trapped between the charging chariots and the vast expanse of the Red Sea, the people cried out in fear. It was then that Moses, acting on God's command, stood at the water's edge and raised his staff. In a breathtaking display of power, the sea began to churn and roar, and the massive body of water parted, forming towering walls on either side. A path of dry land appeared, allowing the Israelites to cross safely to the other shore. After their miraculous escape, the Israelites journeyed through the wilderness to Mount Sinai, the very place where Moses had first